Dear brothers, on this feast of Pentecost, we have begun the remote preparation for the forthcoming 26th General Chapter to be held in next year in August, September. We have chosen this date with the desire of opening ourselves to the Holy Spirit, who is the source of our charism, of our congregation, and our own vocation. The General Chapter is an event of Pentecost in the life of the congregation. The protagonist of the renewal and regeneration in the congregation is the Holy Spirit. We want to invoke the Holy Spirit to dwell in us and guide and lead us towards our future. Thinking of this forthcoming chapter, we were invited by the last chapter to explore new ways of organizing assemblies and chapters in our congregation. So in our meeting of the major superiors in Talagante in Chile, we have shared ourselves and decided that we need a synodal approach to the chapter involving all of you, all the members, because each of our members have things precious in their hearts, rich experiences. So the congregation, which is very present in the peripheries, should begin our reflection from the peripheries and enrich the chapter event. So we thought of a narrative, appreciative approach through synodal meetings to be held in different parts of the congregation. So, dear brothers, the first thing I ask of you is the openness to the Holy Spirit and listening to the voice of the Spirit in your hearts in the silence of prayer, to your brothers in community, to our collaborators, the lay people, the people whom we serve, and also to those through whom God may be speaking to us through their criticism and even confrontations. We have a beautiful charism, and this charism is beyond us. If we reduce it to our measure, we will be domesticating our charism and bottle it in such a way that we can manage it. That would be reducing the stature to which we are invited through our charism to dream with Jesus, to dream with the church for what God has in store for humanity. Therefore, with our own small measures, we shall not clip the force of our charism by our own inner openness to the surprises of the Holy Spirit. I remember a small event when I was a formator. Two of the novices found two baby parrots in the field. Possibly the nest fell down and they were abandoned. And they asked me permission to grow it. I said, sure, we need to grow it. And when they are grown up, we let them fly off. So they took it to their rooms and fed them. After 2 weeks, I inquired how things were. And one of them told me, Father, now it is difficult to take care of them. They have got now wings. Though one of them whom he was taking care, he was flying around, he could not even catch and feed them. So I said, it must be ready, let it fly off. We inquired about the other, and he brought to me the parrot totally under control. He had clipped the wings of that parrot. When I asked why, I was shocked. He told, Father, I was trying to feed them and they were flying around and he could not catch that. So he managed to catch it and clip the wings so that they would not fly and could be under control. And this parrot was just hopping around. If we measure our charism to measure the charism to our own standards, we may be clipping its possibility and failing to see the horizon to which our charism invites to dream with Jesus and participate in a future that is awaiting to be born. So we ask for an approach that we would be looking at the talents and capacities and positives that are present in us, our God-given assets, which are there because God wants to create something better for future. Sometimes people may ask that this may be utopian and beyond our reach. Our lived reality is different. Think of a community where there are tensions and conflicts that erode the apostolic vitality. One can feel discouraged and think that this is what we see in religious life. Just like some people define the church by the scandals of some of the clergy. But that is not the church for. Also, our congregation cannot be measured by our human failures. It should be measured by the possibilities that the gifts and talents God has given us, with which it is possible to create a better community. And this is why the pains that we live in a community is not out of place. They are also part of it, precisely as a possibility beyond. It is said that for someone who is closed in a prison can be a home unless he sees the freedom outside. So in this chapter, I invite you to look forward with the potential that our charism gives and march to that steps which the Holy Spirit wants us to take. When the general government tries to see what are the new ways of organizing chapters could we think of, our first temptation was to ask some of our experts in religious life in our institutes of consecrated life to make a study of the pros and cons of the existing chapters and give us a report with some suggestions. Then it occurred to us, we should be the change that we want to be. And therefore, we looked at our own functioning of the general government and assumed a synodal approach. And together we have explored with other congregations, even inviting some superior generals to talk to us about their experience, exploring some best practices, and trying it in our own small circles. Some of us participated in workshops, preparing people for new ways of handling meetings. And we have tried it in our continental assemblies. And you have also seen that engaging people and asking contributions, each one of you, and together building up something is far better than the general government telling you what you should do. It also gives us a feel that all of us together with the Holy Spirit are the subject of our journey forward. So we thought of a new paradigm for our chapter. Actually, it is new because we are not used to, but it is as old as Jesus' time. Jesus engaged his disciples and his listeners through generative questions. Think of the question Jesus asked. What do you seek? It pierces deep into our hearts and invites us to explore deeper questions we do not ask. What is the purpose of our life? Why are we here? What is behind many of our yearnings and searches? He asked another question, who do you say that I am? Inviting his disciples to take a position. Go beyond what others say or not say. To take a commitment towards him. He would also ask, do you also want to leave? other questions like, why do you doubt? The way Jesus engaged people was asking generative questions that an open person could allow to bring out things beautiful from their treasures inside. The appreciative and narrative method we thought of engaging through synodal meetings at different levels in your communities, at the level of the zones in the provinces, at province level or delegation level, and at the level of the continents or conferences, is to build up the wisdom lying inside each one of us, a collective search to know what the Lord is asking of us in our time. There is no prescription. It's not a kind of a technique or a method. It's an approach, a way of walking and following Jesus and making the path by walking. I invite you to that kind of a journey of openness to the Spirit, openness to our brothers, and daring to bring your treasures to the congregation and listening attentively to our brothers. In the beginning of my letter of announcement, I asked a question: how valuable an experience do you plan for the 26th General Chapter? In fact, that question is to ask you to take a stand towards the chapter and to define your own responsibility for it. We can think of that chapter as a responsibility of the general government. It is a general chapter, or the provincials or the delegates who would be doing it. And one can also take a stand of an observer standing by side. And that would not make us a congregation where everybody has responsibility for it. Everybody participates from his riches and resources. This way we need an active participation because one assumes responsibility for the congregation. Irresponsibility is abdicating one's own capacity to respond from the gifts, and therefore also dishonoring the gifts God has given, and thereby dishonoring our own vocation. Every clinician counts. Everything God has given to him counts. It's a together of all that which makes us a small, beautiful, and missionary congregation in the church. So, dear brothers, let's make this chapter a journey where we make the path by walking with the Spirit of Christ together with our brothers, listening and sharing what God has given us with our brothers. And the very chapter journey or preparation would be a way of renewing ourselves rather than waiting the chapter to make decisions and later we will be better off clinicians. We shall not look at that kind of a miracle to happen from above. It is the very way we prepare the chapter which renews us. So welcome to this beautiful journey which we shall together explore. Thank you.